What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, first and foremost. And if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe. 90-some% of our watchers are not subscribed, so go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn the bell on, and get notified for our videos. Alright, let's jump into it. So this is our 76 Datsun 280Z. We got new tires on it, and just fired it up for the first time. The previous Datsun video, at the time you're seeing this, that'll probably be 2 videos ago. What we need to do is get all of this splash shield. It's supposed to have a little rubber weather strip on it that goes to the hood. We got to trim that off. We have to trim this off for our intercooler piping, and then I've got some bits over here in the dash I've got to work out, mostly for our water temp sensor. Everything else, I still got to do the tack, but everything else is pretty much ready to go up here besides the intercooler. And then I've got some brakes to put on as well. This brake caliper had seized, so that one's been replaced. But we got brand new front brakes. The rears are still brand new, and that's about it. So what we'll do is get started on, actually we'll start on the brakes. We'll get that done really quick because that'll be super easy. And then we'll do the intercooler because that's going to be a little bit more time consuming. So if you haven't done brakes on one of these before, what you're going to do is you've got 2 slide pins, one on top, one on bottom. You're going to have your 2 brake pads, little brass retainers, and 2 cotter pins, more or less. I will bring you over here and show you the new hardware. That way you've kind of got an idea of what you're looking at. So this is going to be your new hardware. These silver pins are those pins that slide through the caliper itself. These brass pins retain the brake pads, and then that little pin in there holds the slide pin in. So these are going to be pretty easy to do. You're going to take your new pads here. Mine are still wrapped up. I got to unwrap them. And then your new hardware. You're just going to open them up. Spill everything on the floor because that's where it belongs if you work in a shop. And once you've got all of that pulled out, you are going to... Well, I am missing 1 cotter pin. That's awesome. Anyways, what you are going to do now is go ahead, take your brake pads. This is what a new brake pad looks like for one of these. Pretty small, pretty easy to do. We're going to go ahead and slide these bad boys in. Just like so. And then from there, you're going to take a slide pin and line them both up. Just like that. And now that top is lined up, you'll take the bottom, you'll line those up as well, like so. So now that you have a top lined up, what you're going to do is take this little brass clip. This is going to help hold the pad in place. Push it over and push it down. That way you can fit the other slide in. You may need a screwdriver for this, or you can use another tab to kind of help get you just enough, like so. And then before you push it all the way through, you're going to do the same thing with another tab on the other side. And this, like I said, will just kind of help keep everything together and keep it from backing out. Then you will take one of your pins, slide one into this first one. Once you get it all together, it'll look like that. Those new clips are just right here on either side of the tab that sticks out of the actual brake pad. And then you'll have those cotter pins right there on the inside, and those will go pretty much flat with that clip. And then these are your slide pins that go all the way through. Now that side's done. I'm gonna go do the other side, and then we can go ahead and get started on the intercooler and get that hopefully knocked out this evening. I just wanted to take a second to take a look at the difference between the brake pads. Obviously this is the new one. It's a little bit more coarse. Obviously it's not been worn, so you can't see that. But it is a little bit more coarse, a little bit more abrasive, so you're going to get less rotor life out of this. But this is going to be a better brake overall than this. This just looks like a standard economy pad. It probably was still good. I mean, it was definitely getting a little low. This is the other one. As you can see, just old. Nothing that I would reuse or continue to run since I'm already here. We got one in there already. We're going to go ahead and throw this in and move on to the intercooler. So both sets of brakes are done, ready to go. Like I said, we're going to cut that off, that little splash shield, and then I went ahead and put on that little green filter down there, just because we're not running the PCB system on this setup with the Mega Squirt. So all I got to do for brakes is bleed them. I'll do that in another video. Pretty simple, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Not too hard. Just need a second person that I don't have right now. Justice isn't doing too hot. But other than that, we're going to go ahead and trim those things up. I'm going to put you guys away because the compressor is loud. I'll probably put you on a time lapse or something. That way you can still kind of see what I'm doing and follow along. It's pretty easy. The hardest part is going to be actually mounting everything up. So yeah. And now we're going to time lapse. So we got most of the piping and everything in. Got to go through, tighten up all the bands, and then there is one mount that kind of holds it sturdy to the block. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that, and then that'll hold that pipe up and keep it from hitting on the belts. I'm getting ready to mock up the front. I've got to put the intercooler in, and then the bracket itself will go on up top. This is that. It's got these nice gussets, and then it says Godzilla Raceworks, at least their initials. And so that'll go approximately like that. And that should sit pretty nice. I'm pretty excited. So what I was doing just there was drilling out the holes for the riv nuts. And I do not have a riv nut tool. So what I am going to do is take the nut and a bolt, and then I'll use a wrench to hold the bolt in place and spin it across the riv nut, and hopefully it'll suck it up and we'll be good to go. If not, then I will come up with something else, and then I'll show you. So we got that mounted up. The riv nuts did not work out too well since I didn't have a tool. We ended up using rivets underneath and then on top as well, and that's holding it in pretty steady. I will need to make a mount for the bottom of it though. It is not the sturdiest, but it'll do for the time being. I need to go ahead I need to go ahead and get the wideband gauge installed and set up. That way it's ready to go. The dash is out. It's got to come out anyways for this because of how I'm mounting it. And then we're doing LED lights for the dash as well because we did that on the last Datsun and I really liked it. It's a lot better than the stock bulbs that sit behind there. So I'm going to go ahead while the dash is out and throw those in. It'll be super easy, super simple since I'm already here. So I've gone ahead and I've put all the LED bulbs in. Some of them are not going to work because of the way that they're wired. LEDs only go one way. So what you have to do is take some of them and cut them off. Let's see if I can find it. Like so. And then you'll just splice the wires back in opposite the way that they came out. So if you have a green wire and a red wire, for example, just like this, you're going to put the green end on the red side and the red side on the green side. So you'll just flop it. That way, when you go and put it back together, the electricity flows through the LED in the correct way, and that way it lights up. So now that they have been flipped, we should get, let me turn the light on, should light right up, just like that. Now that I know that we are getting power and the LEDs work, I'm gonna go ahead, go through all of them and get that done. So we've now got all of those done. As you can see, they're all lighting up. We're good to go. They look a little bit more green on camera than they are, but I mean, they need to be cleaned up. But all in all, the lighting's done. I've also gotten the brakes taken care of and hopefully the water temp sensor. Other than that, I'm throwing the dash back together right now. Also, let me show you the wideband and how it's set up. A little bit difficult to see right now, but the wideband just sits right in there with the stock air vent. It holds it in. So I'll come around the back here, and your wires are going to go through there along with your boost hose. That way you can read boost on this one as well. So I've now got all of that back together. We can go ahead and tighten this up and put the steering wheel on. So I got the interior, at least the dash, mostly put back together. You can see that nice new fully forged carbon fiber street arrow steering wheel. All the lights work. I do have to finish the rest of the wideband and then run the actual wire itself into the engine bay. And then I got to put the downpipe on, and hopefully from there, I'm actually going to try and tune it just a little bit. That way I can at least move it around the shop and so on and so forth, pull it on a trailer and such, and get a decent baseline for us to get it to the shop. We will be trailering this to the shop, obviously. It is not going to be driven there. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. I will catch you next time. Peace.